Hello everyone, I'm Yazan Ibrahim, or as some of you might know me, Yazan Abu Ghosh. Today we're going to dive into a fascinating and essential topic, fraud examiners. Section 3, Investigation. 3.2, Collecting Evidence in Fraud Examination. Today's deep dive into the world of fraud investigation. Whether you're an aspiring fraud investigator, a business owner, or simply curious about how organizations manage their finances, or if you are auditor, this journey will shed light on the often complex systems that drive decision-making. Fraud examination and evidence collection might sound like complex legal procedures reserved for courtroom dramas or high-stakes investigative teams, but in reality, they are a highly structured, fascinating process with a carefully designed system that anyone aiming to master this subject can understand. This journey is all about piecing together the story of fraud, layer by meticulous layer, through documents, digital evidence, testimonies, and more. Let's explore this line by line, uncovering not only the how but the why behind every step. At the core of any successful fraud examination lies evidence, proof essential to reveal the truth. But not all evidence is created equal. It spans across categories with distinct roles in investigations. For instance, testimonial evidence, statements captured from witnesses or suspects, is the heart of storytelling, bringing context to the analytical process. Meanwhile, digital evidence takes on a modern twist, living silently within hard drives or flash drives, waiting to reveal secrets through digital forensics techniques. Yet, one of the most critical, versatile pillars of evidence remains documentary evidence. Think of it like an extensive layered scrapbook documenting reality, whether through checks, invoices, or financial records. These fragments of truth, though seemingly static, hold an incredible power to prove or disprove facts in the case of fraud. Now imagine you are tasked with dealing with these documents. One of the golden rules in fraud examination is prioritizing originals. Why originals, you ask? Originals hold the unfiltered truth. Copies, though helpful as backups or working versions, risk tampered information, potentially leading to an uphill battle in credibility. Investigators carefully guard originals, storing them securely and handling them minimally to preserve their integrity. Picture these as artifacts from history. Once changed or marred, their authenticity becomes questionable and their narrative becomes suspect. Something as simple as mishandling a document could derail an otherwise solid investigation. Fraud examiners also treat documents almost as sacred objects when examining them physically. Fingerprints left on a valuable piece of evidence, even inadvertently, could corrupt the document's integrity or muddy the field of suspects. Gloves might seem excessive, perhaps what you'd see in a movie, but such precautions are vital here. And of course, damaged evidence such as charred or burned materials demands extra care. These fragile remnants may hold the key to solving the puzzle, stored in specially designed containers with layers of cotton to prevent further harm. Such precision is what separates casual scrutiny from professional investigation. But what about identifying fraud within documents? This is where the real detective work shines. Say someone produces a questionable invoice or contract. Fraud examiners equipped with the right tools can spot differences in paper opacity, ink composition, or even indented writings left by prior handling. Suspicious irregularities, like a signature cleanly traced both times, resembling a cutout template, could signify forgery. This forensic lens extends to analyzing writing, printed text, and even seals or adhesive tampering. These observations lead investigators closer to the truth, connecting dots that might otherwise seem invisible to the untrained eye. Forensic experts, the unsung heroes of fraud examination. Sometimes investigators encounter documents that demand expertise beyond their skill set, like determining the age of ink used in a document or tracing indented writing overlooked by others. Here, forensic document examiners become crucial allies. They don't just analyze handwriting or typefaces, they often help craft fraud theories, guessing who, when, and where with precision. Their findings can provide undeniable leverage during an interrogation, where suspects crack under mounting evidence or verbal confrontations. Even in court, these experts offer testimony solid enough to sway judgments and prove intent. A topic worth diving deeper into is fraudulent documents themselves. They aren't limited to what's forged but can also involve alterations, added sentences, deleted details, or swapped pages. Recognizing these manipulations requires a sharp eye and sound knowledge of document security measures. It's fascinating to note how fraudsters attempt to weave deception and how investigators untangle their lies with meticulous examination techniques. A light test might reveal paper inconsistencies. Ultraviolet light could show invisible ink. These tools are akin to a detective's magnifying glass revealing clues buried in plain sight. Let's not overlook organization. This isn't a haphazard treasure hunt, but a thoroughly planned process. Consider an investigation with hundreds, sometimes thousands of documents. Without a robust system, whether a reliable filing structure, chronological databases, or master key document files, it's like looking for a needle in a haystack. A crucial document might go unnoticed, weakening the entire case. Instead, logical separation of materials, whether by witness, transaction, or subject, ensures streamlined analysis. Think of this as laying the groundwork for building your case brick by brick, ensuring no crack compromises the structure. One of the most compelling aspects of fraud examination lies in understanding intent, peeling back the curtain to reveal whether the act was accidental or deliberate. Handwriting provides a compelling gateway here. Unlike identical typed text, cursive or manual writing carries the fingerprints of individuality. Signatures naturally vary due to physical and mental conditions, making identical copies glaringly suspicious. While only experts can determine absolute authenticity, investigators can spot red flags such as deliberate disguises, think altered slants or different writing sizes. Suspicious tendencies, like attempting to mimic another's signature, reflect intent to deceive, providing a psychological window into the suspect's mind. It's proof that fraud is often as much a product of behavior as it is of opportunity. Finally, the legal side of evidence collection adds another fascinating layer. Investigators must tread carefully, ensuring every action, from seizing documents to obtaining handwriting samples, is above board. A strong chain of custody can be the defining element in proving authenticity. This isn't just record keeping. It's a documented timeline capturing who possessed the evidence, how, and when. Missing documentation can trigger accusations of tampering or mishandling, a situation any investigator wishes to avoid. Consent, whether oral or written, is equally paramount. Without authorization during evidence gathering, even ironclad proof could crumble in court due to inadmissibility. Ultimately, fraud examination isn't just about catching culprits, but about ensuring justice through impeccably preserved and assessed evidence. With a trained eye and meticulous process, this discipline unveils layers of complexity in fraud and bridges the gap between suspicion and undeniable proof. The depth of discovery is tremendous, highlighting how a nuanced understanding of human behavior, technology, and structured methodologies can ensure truth prevails. Typewriters. Uniqueness in simplicity. The story begins with typewriters, those noisy, mechanical marvels of a bygone era. Did you know that older typewriters, both the manual and electric kind with their segment shift mechanisms, were as unique as fingerprints? Each machine developed tiny quirks and defects over time as parts wore down or shifted ever so slightly. These imperfections, like a slightly misaligned key or an abrasion on a type bar, left unique marks on every document the typewriter produced. Experts today can use these quirks to positively identify which typewriter created a particular document. It's like CSI for office supplies. But the evolution of technology took away some of this individuality. Modern typewriters, particularly those with interchangeable elements like daisy wheels or basket-type elements, made identifying a specific machine nearly impossible. All of a sudden, this individuality was lost in favor of precision and functionality. The digital era, challenges of printer identification. Fast forward to the modern age of printers, laser and inkjet printers that can churn out high-quality documents at the push of a button. While these machines revolutionized document production, they also posed new challenges for forensic examiners. Documents created by these printers are notoriously difficult to trace back to their source, as they lack the obvious imperfections seen in typewriters. Investigators can only narrow down the possibilities by examining details like typeface, font size, letter spacing, or even the processes behind the printed text. It's like investigating shadows instead of clear footprints. But technology always leaves a trail, and here's the twist. Many laser printers use something called yellow dot tracking. This fascinating system involves printing nearly invisible yellow dots, tiny markers that embed the printer's serial number, as well as the time and date of printing into every document. These dots can only be seen under a microscope or blue light, a detail so tiny that most of us never notice it. The purpose? To combat counterfeiting. However, decoding the information these dots carry usually requires special law enforcement access, making it a powerful but little-known investigative tool. And there's more. Some color printers imprint unique identification numbers onto their printouts, while slight variations caused by feeding mechanisms can leave detectable traces that act like digital fingerprints. Isn't it incredible how even machines carry their own tangible identity? Photocopiers, evidence of a purposeful copy. Let's shift gears now and explore the role of photocopiers in forensic science. On the surface, a photocopy might seem dull, just a reproduction of a document. But under the right scrutiny, these copies can tell their own intriguing story. A photocopy can stand in as an original if the authentic document is unavailable, though it comes with limitations, such as the inability to detect features like indentations or erasures that may exist on the original paper. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Just like typewriters and printers, photocopiers also reveal unique traces. Examining tiny discrepancies such as specks, streaks, edge markings, or phenomena called trash marks can pinpoint which machine produced a particular copy. But what are trash marks, you ask? They're the product of imperfections within the copier, such as debris or scratches on the glass surface. These can be categorized into two distinct types. 1. Permanent trash marks caused by fixed imperfections. These persist until the machine is repaired. 2. Transient trash marks, temporary marks, like smudges or loose particles that disappear with cleaning. Imagine examiners creating a lineup of blank sheets and comparing trash marks to narrow down the copier responsible. They're not just unearthing clues, but assembling a captivating puzzle. This technique also lets experts estimate when a document may have been created based on when transient marks disappear. Document forgery, a clever deception. Forgers are clever, but forensic science is cleverer. Let's talk about forgery, a topic as gripping as any suspense thriller. One common trick is backdating documents, assigning false dates to make something seem older than it is. Fraud examiners break down this deception by analyzing ink, typewriter models, and even paper characteristics like watermarks, which offer crucial clues about when and where a document originated. Consider forged alibi documents, which are often whipped up to create a false narrative for a suspect. These deceptive documents aim to disqualify evidence or present entirely fabricated stories. And then there's the long-lost will, conveniently discovered to benefit someone who has a vested interest, often manipulated using cut-and-paste techniques. One particularly fascinating case of forgery is counterfeit historical documents, like the infamous forged Hitler diaries. Here, forgers try to imbue their creations with false historical significance, sometimes even going so far as to artificially age paper or manipulate ink compositions. It's an entire art form of deception, but today's forensic techniques leave little room for success. Indented writings, echoes beneath the page. Now think about this. What if the evidence left behind isn't on the surface but lies hidden in the layers of paper beneath it? Welcome to the world of indented writing, where faint impressions left on sheets below reveal a whole new layer of secrets. This subtle evidence often appears in multi-page forms or notepads, and it can indicate missing or even altered pages. Forensic experts use various techniques to uncover these impressions. Simple oblique lighting might reveal shallow indentations, creating shadows that mimic the original handwriting. Advanced tools like Electrostatic Detection Apparatus, ESDA, can detect even the faintest indents and create a permanent record of them. This ensures nothing is erased, leaving investigators with a detailed look at what's hidden beneath. The power of forensics, from type bars to laser dots, trash marks to indents, the world of document examination is full of mind-blowing intricacies. It's a field where science meets storytelling, and each document becomes a witness to its own history, sometimes lying, sometimes telling the truth, but always carrying secrets waiting to be discovered. Every printer smudge, every scratch on a copier glass, every indentation in the ghost of the page beneath speaks a language that can make or break a case. And with this knowledge, we see not just paper, but the profound stories and truths it holds. It engages audiences across every level, turning the original text into an immersive and engaging script. For a full-length educational video involves creating a narrative that flows seamlessly while retaining depth and clarity. Here's how I would transform the provided content into a captivating and accessible presentation. Have you ever considered how subtle marks, invisible to the naked eye, can unlock secrets hidden in a document? This is the fascinating world of indented writings, counterfeit detection, and forensic document examination, a realm where ink, paper, and even fingerprints can unravel mysteries and reveal clues about history, identity, or fraud. Decoding the invisible, indented writings. Let's begin with the concept of indented writing, which sounds simple, yet holds exceptional significance in fraud investigations. Imagine this. You're flipping through an old notepad and you notice faint impressions of letters on a blank page. These faint marks, impressions left by a pen or pencil on pages underneath the original text, can sometimes hold the key to solving complex fraud cases. Indented writings typically appear in multi-page documents like legal forms or notebooks. Here's where forensic experts come into play. If indentations are missing where they should have been, such as on subsequent pages of a legal document, it raises red flags. There might be missing pages or substituted evidence hiding the truth. Conversely, stray indentations unrelated to the visible text on the page could suggest a page substitution, altering the original document. To reveal these subtle impressions without damaging the evidence, experts avoid crude methods like shading with pencils or applying liquids, which could harm the document irreparably. Imagine instead a forensic investigator shining a flashlight at a sharp angle, gently moving the beam to illuminate shadows in the paper, like unveiling a hidden message in plain sight. The most advanced tool? The Electrostatic Detection Apparatus, ESDA, a powerful device capable of exposing even the faintest indentations and making these impressions a permanent record for analysis. Through the magic of forensic technology, the ghosts beneath the page come to life, offering insight into altered or missing pages and preserving evidence for fraud cases. The battle against counterfeits. Now let's shift gears to something even more sinister: counterfeit documents. Throughout history, creative forgers have sought to replicate documents of value, from currency and checks to passports and birth certificates. Today, with advanced printing technology, even an amateur counterfeiter can produce convincing fakes of bonds, motor vehicle titles, or even product labels. Traditional counterfeiting methods like engraved plates are relics of the past, giving way to modern tools such as high-quality printers, graphic design software, and scanners. For example, photo offset and lithography techniques allow counterfeiters to retouch negatives to create false versions of genuine documents with unnerving accuracy. But this is not a game without defenses. Detecting counterfeits requires a trained eye and strategic methods. Side-by-side comparisons of a genuine document with a suspected fake are critical. Forensic experts scrutinize details like slight differences in ink color, brightness, or paper texture. Even the tiniest discrepancy in a font or the overlap of text with pre-printed designs could expose a forger at work. Advanced forensic methods go even deeper, analyzing the ink's composition, reconstructing erased serial numbers, or even identifying fingerprints left on the fake document. Counterfeit detection becomes a forensic treasure hunt, peeling back the layers of deception and often tracing the forger to the original crime. The hidden signatures of fingerprints. Let's delve into a fascinating chapter of the story: fingerprints on forensic evidence. Like a human signature, fingerprints can confirm who touched a specific document, and they come in two main types. Latent fingerprints are invisible traces left behind by oils or sweat, a silent imprint of human contact that's often found on surfaces like paper. In contrast, patent fingerprints appear visibly in substances like ink, paint, or blood. Preserving these delicate traces is both an art and a science. Latent fingerprints on porous surfaces like paper are fragile, requiring utmost care. Experts never dust them to avoid smudging, and instead store them in acid-free envelopes labeled with strict details such as collection date and exhibit number. On non-porous surfaces like glass or metal, techniques like cyanoacrylate fuming, think superglue vapors, bring hidden prints to light, while laser analysis captures prints invisible to other methods. Fingerprints aren't just marks of identity, they are time capsules, helping investigators reconstruct events tied to counterfeit documents or fraudulent activities. Disposal and expert insight. Once all the mysteries have been uncovered, what happens to the physical evidence? Managing the disposal of sensitive documents, especially those containing personal data, requires careful judgment. Fraud examiners must navigate legal obligations like litigation holds or jurisdictional regulations, balancing the need to protect information with organizational policies on retention and disposal. Forensic document examination often requires collaboration with external experts. For cases that lead to criminal prosecution, evidence is typically sent to law enforcement laboratories. However, private practitioners are also pivotal, especially in regions where law enforcement partnerships are limited. In the United States, the American Board of Forensic Document Examiners, ABFDE, is a respected authority, while the British Academy of Forensic Sciences, BAFS, supports similar efforts in the UK. In the broader fight against fraud, evidence isn't just proof of a crime, it's a story waiting to be told, the paper trail to truth. In this world of forensic inquiry, every pen stroke, paper fiber, and fingerprint tells a story. It's a process as intricate as solving a puzzle, where science and intuition intersect to expose the truth behind altered contracts, fake signatures, and counterfeit documents. Through the lens of forensic technology, even the faintest whisper left on a piece of paper transforms into a loud declaration of fact. This field isn't just about finding errors, it's about uncovering deception, restoring trust, and ensuring that every story carried by a document is one rooted in truth. So the next time you see an ordinary sheet of paper, think again. There's more than meets the eye, because every document has its secrets waiting to be revealed. Thank you for watching, and as always, continue learning. Stay curious, and we'll see you next video.